And I have a webinar tomorrow at 7 p.m. entitled Mapping Out Mapping Out Time to Write. And again, I do apologize. I'm basically over the cold, but I've got still some stuff going on right here. So from time to time, you will see me picking up my tea to have a drink. But again, I am a coach, a mentor, a speaker, a published author, the creator of the course, The Basics to Writing Your First Book. And a host of other things, a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a whole lot of stuff. And I'm sorry if I seem disoriented. I'm just trying to make sure that I am doing good on both fronts. So I came on because I wanted to talk about a few things. One is gastroparesis. 2 is anxiety and all that goes with it. And then 3, the whole writing thing. And I know that sounds like really disconnected, really disjointed, but they all are to some degree connected to one another. They all are, as far as I am concerned, personally connected together. So I want to talk about gastroparesis. My husband has this illness. My husband of almost 8 years. Next week, it'll be 8 years that he and I have been together. And when we first got married, I made sure that he was on my insurance because my insurance was better than his. My health insurance was better than his at the time. So we first got married. I put him on the health insurance, and then I set up his appointments. And in one of his appointments, they diagnosed him as a diabetic. They diagnosed him as a diabetic. They told him all of the things that he needed to do to make sure that he got that under control. Diet, exercise, watching his weight, losing weight because he needed to lose weight at the time. They told him all of the things that could happen if he did not get those things under control, such as he could have a heart attack, he could have a stroke, he could lose limbs, as in have amputations done. They told him all of the things that they tell everyone. They told him all of the stuff that they tell everyone that is either pre-diabetic or diabetic. They give you all of the worst case scenarios. And we listened to them. We paid attention to what they were saying. He had a nutritionist. He had an endocrinologist. Endocrinologist. And the nutritionist, he went through the courses, got to meet with the nutritionist a few times. She gave him a diet. He had got all the machines that he needed to get tested, and all of the medications that he needed to take. And like most people, he decided that he was not diabetic. He decided that he did not have this illness and that he wasn't going to do anything about it. Now, I love my husband, and he is a great man, but he's also very stubborn and did not believe the diagnosis. Yeah, I'll go do all the stuff that you tell me I need to do, but I'm not going to do this, that, or the other. So he did not take his meds the way he was supposed to. He did not monitor his sugars the way he was supposed to. He did not stay on track with the dietitian or endocrinologist the way he was supposed to. So the doctor told him that if you don't do these things on a regular basis, this is what could happen. So we talked about his sugars going higher. We talked about high cholesterol. We talked again about the possibility of amputation, losing limbs and things of that nature. We talked about all of that stuff again. And he said, okay. He said, okay, that's fine. I'll do what I can. So she said, if you don't get all these things under control, we're going to have to increase your meds, and you'll go from 1 pill to 2 pills. So he said, okay, fine, I'll do what I'm supposed to do. Well, he didn't. And I'm not saying all of this to blame my husband for his illness. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is talking about this and sharing this information so that others have this information, and know that this is a real and true one illness, and that you should take it seriously. So, and I appreciate what you're saying. You say try going vegan. I'll talk about that in just a moment. So he did not do what the doctor recommended that he do. So when we went back for his next visit, he was increased to 3 pills. So not only did she have him on the first pill that she put him on, but she added a pill to it. And then she also added one for cholesterol. She wanted to make certain that his cholesterols were balanced. So he was on metformin and glipizide, and then this cholesterol medication. And she told him that if he did not get his medicines under control, get his sugars under control, and did not do what he was supposed to do, that he may have to go to the shots. He said, okay, fine, I hear what you're saying. We went over the, worst case scenarios again, blah, blah, blah. Did all of that. And we went back for another visit, and all of these visits were anywhere from 3 to 6 months apart. So the first visit, and then the second visit was maybe 6 months later. She gave him about 6 months to get it together. But after she had to increase his meds, the next visit was maybe 3 months after that one. And we go back, and sure enough, because he had not done the things that he was supposed to do, she ended up having to put him on insulin shots. So fast forward, I think 5 years at this point, 4 or 5 years at this point. We got married in 11. So by 16, he's full-blown diabetic. He's over 200 pounds. He's not taking his meds the way he's supposed to still. He's going to his doctor, because at this point we had switched insurances and switched doctors. And he's going to the doctor on a regular basis now at this point. And the doctor is telling him that he needs to get his sugars under control, that he needs to take his medicines the way he's supposed to, that if he does not do those things that he's supposed to that he could go into, ketoacidosis. That could happen. He could lose a limb. He could have a stroke. He could have heart failure. All of the things that the others told him about, he's being told this again. And he's saying, yeah, I understand. I'm going to do better. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to. And he did not. So in 2015, we had a lot of deaths around us, and that kind of woke him up a little bit, and he decided that he really wanted to get himself together. He really wanted to change. He really wanted to get better, so on and so forth, but it didn't happen. So by 2016, we noticed that he started losing weight. And although I did the majority of the cooking. I won't say although. I did the majority of the cooking. So I tried my best to make certain that I cooked healthier things for him, because I tended to, at the time, eat healthier. So I tried to make certain that I made healthier things, that I monitored his portions. So instead of giving him what would be considered a double or a triple portion, I would give him a true life single portion of food, and he would always go back for more. So we noticed that he started losing weight, and we thought, okay, so this is good. He's starting to lose weight. He's eating a little bit better. Things are going to turn in the right direction. Things are looking good. But then we noticed that he was continuously losing weight, and it was falling kind of fast, and it was getting kind of scary. Like I said, he was over 200 pounds, about 210 pounds is where he was. And then the weight just started falling off. So we're going to the doctor, and the doctor is saying, just keep taking your meds. Let's get your A1C numbers together. Let's keep making sure you take your shots. Make sure you're eating right. You need to lose the weight. It's good for you, so on and so forth. He's still losing weight. And when I say losing weight, I mean it is really very noticeable, to the point where people on the outside are noticing that he's losing weight. And, you know, initially everyone was saying, oh, this is good. This is good. You're losing weight. That's good. But it just started falling off really, really quickly, really, really drastically. So we are going back to the doctor, and the doctor is saying the same thing. So we went back to the doctor maybe 3 or 4 times in a year, and the doctor is saying the same thing. It's good that you're losing weight. You need to lose weight. I'm still preparing the foods that are the way that they need to be prepared. I'm still giving him, you know, the normal single portion, and the doctor is still saying it's good that you're losing the weight. Then he began to have stomach pains. And we couldn't figure out what the stomach pains were, where they were coming from. It just made no sense to us. So we go to the doctor, his regular doctor, and the doctor says, well, I don't see anything in your test. So here, take some antacids, here, do this, here, do that, take some more meds, take some more meds. So he's doing that. He's taking pain pills, but the weight is still falling. And he's in pain so much now that he cannot go to work and stay at work. So we're concerned. We don't know what's going on. Then we decide to relocate. We relocate from Chicago to Texas, from Chicago to Arlington, Texas. And on the way here, I'm looking at my husband, and I'm noticing how thin he is. And I'm noticing how old he looks. And I'm noticing how stressed he looks. And I'm chalking the stress up to, you know, the move, because of how we had to move. And I'll talk about that maybe in another video, or I'll talk about it here. I'm not sure. We'll see where it goes. But anyway, so I'm noticing all of this about him, and I'm really concerned. It's, you know, it's not like him and to worry about anything. He doesn't really worry about anything. But it just doesn't look good. So we get here to Texas. We get to where we're going to be living for the next few months, and he goes downhill. He's in constant pain. He can't eat. He can't hold food down. He can't even go to the bathroom properly. He cannot make a normal bowel movement. And his urine is so frequent that it's almost laughable how much he has to get up and go urinate. So I get him to the hospital here. We go to the ER, and they say, well, we don't know what's going on. It's not making any sense to us. Maybe you have irritable bowel syndrome. Okay, fine. So they start giving him meds for irritable bowel syndrome. And now I started working. He didn't start working right away. I did. So we go, I'm at work, and I'm on this new job, and I'm having to take time off to get him to the hospital, or I'm coming in late because, you know, I'm exhausted from taking care of him, or because I've been to the ER with him several times already. So at one point, we take him back to the ER, and they keep him for 5 days, I think it is. I think it's 5 days they keep him. And while we're there, they do another diagnosis. He has a gastroenterologist come into the room, and she's looking at all the test scores, or all of the test results, and she's saying, you know, I really think you have this other illness, but I want to run some more tests just to see. I don't believe it's irritable bowel syndrome. We say, okay, fine, run your other tests. Let's see what's going on. Sure enough, by day 3, she comes back and says, you have what I believe is gastroparesis. And we're like, what is that? We've never heard of that. What does that mean? And just so that we are clear, I am clear about what gastroparesis is, and I'm sharing this information so that you have an understanding of it. Where's my, okay. So gastroparesis is a condition in which your stomach cannot empty itself of food. And I've talked about this before because I've done actual videos on YouTube about it before, mentioning it. And I've talked about it before in live videos with him. He's just not so, he doesn't mind. At one point, he didn't mind being on camera, but now he doesn't really care to look at himself in the camera. He hates to get on the scale. So I've talked about it before, but I just want to make sure that everyone is aware. So gastroparesis is a condition of which your stomach cannot empty itself of food in a normal fashion. It can be caused by damage to the vagus nerve, which regulates the digestive system. Damage to the vagus nerve prevents the muscles in the stomach and the intestine from functioning, preventing food from moving through the digestive system properly. Often the cause of gastroparesis is unknown. However, once we did all of the testing, all of the monitoring, and the doctors looked at everything that needed to be looked at, it was determined that his gastroparesis was caused by uncontrolled diabetes. So those years of the doctors telling him to exercise, eat right, cut out sugars, minimize sugars if you can't cut them out, minimize processed foods, and take your meds on a regular basis and monitor your sugars the way that you're supposed to. All of that time, all of those years of them telling him to do this and him not doing it consistently has caused gastroparesis. So now my husband, who used to be 210 pounds, is now less than 100 pounds and is in constant pain. And the unfortunate thing is that the pain is not ever going to stop no matter what they do. It's not ever going to stop. He can be on meds for it. Pain meds, his diabetic medication, muscle relaxers. He can be on all of those things. Gastroparesis is going nowhere and the pain isn't going anywhere. That's one of the things that one of the doctors told us after he was diagnosed the first time. We did finally get to a gastroenterologist, and they did an endoscopy as well as I can't think of the other scopy that they did, the other scope that they did. But one was in the mouth, the other was up the rear. So they did both of those to get the official diagnosis. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. And not only is he diabetic, not only does he have gastroparesis, but he also has diverticulitis. And diverticulitis and gastroparesis do not work well together because with one disease, you are not allowed to eat certain foods and you should eat other foods. And this is where the vegan comes in. And then with diverticulitis, you can't eat certain foods, but you should eat other foods. And the strange and ironic thing is that the things that you can eat for the one illness, you cannot eat for the other illness. And the things that you can eat for the other illness, you cannot eat for the one illness. So My husband is in between a rock and a hard place as far as his illnesses are concerned. We tried the vegan thing and it does not work. I tried juicing his foods, pureeing his foods to make it easier, because the other part of this is he has a difficult time swallowing because for whatever reason, his throat is closing up. It has gotten to a point where it's difficult for normal bite-sized portions to go down. So I started at that point, like I said, pureeing his foods, juicing things for him, giving him soft foods, excuse me, and cutting out meats altogether for a while. He likes avocados, so we do avocados. Protein supplements, not so much. He does not care for. I started doing all of this for him, and it only lasts for a while. And then he gets bored and wants something different. So that's when I went to the protein shakes so that he would have a different flavor. Excuse me. I also did smoothies so he would have a different flavor, because I am huge on smoothies. I love smoothies. I try to have one every morning with my supplements in it. He didn't like the smoothies because he thought that they were too thick. So I thinned them out and he still did not care for them. I added honey to sweeten it up a little bit more, thinking that that would help. Took honey away. I used a variety of fruits. I used fresh fruits. I used frozen fruits, greens. Did not like it. So I start buying the protein drinks, and he did not like the thick ones. He said that they were too thick, like they were like milk. So I started trying to find those that were more like a juice, and then he would get bored with those and stop drinking those. And then they also became expensive. And that's one more thing that I'll talk about. They also became expensive. And now he's at a point where with his gastroparesis, he has acid reflux. The acid reflux is a part of gastroparesis, that they almost go hand in hand. Excuse me. And because of the acid reflux, he now has thrush in his mouth, which has coated his mouth, coated his tongue, so he can't taste anything anymore. His taste buds are gone. My poor husband. So it's difficult to find things for him that work. It's difficult to find foods for him that work. So again, my 210-pound husband is now less than 100 pounds and in constant pain. And we don't know what else to do. And it's to a point where he's depressed and I get slightly depressed because I am his caregiver. I'm the one that goes to work every day, comes home and takes care of him because he can't work anymore. He can't work anymore. And I'm sorry, I need to close this door so that there's no outside noise. And if you hear the fan, I apologize for that as well. But he's depressed. I get a little depressed because it's hard. You go from being fully active and hanging out and doing all the things and, you know, hanging with your friends and having a great time to you can barely get out of the bed in the morning. You can barely move around. You can barely eat. And then it starts messing with your mind. And now you're trying to figure out how you're going to survive. How you're going to survive. And that brings about not only the depression, but it also brings about anxiety because now you're concerned about funds money, how you're going to, pay your bills, buy groceries, the transportation, gas in the cars. If the car breaks down, how do you take care of that? And you're trying to figure all of this stuff out, and you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know what's going to happen next. Now, when we moved here from Chicago, like I said, I got a job right away. He was not able to work. And then he would get jobs. Excuse me, but because he stayed sick, he couldn't stay on the jobs. So now he's not working at all, period. Wants to, but can't. So I have health insurance. He does not. Because my employer pays for 60% of my medical coverage. And then I pay the other 40. They don't pay for spouses or children at all. So if I wanted him to have medical insurance, I would have to pay for 100%. That is practically a whole paycheck to have medical insurance for him. The state does not provide medical insurance for adults unless they have children or are diagnosed as disabled or labeled disabled. And he did apply for disability and he was turned down. So guess what we have to do now? Get an attorney so that he can get disability. And we're waiting for that process to complete itself. But we also know that that process could take anywhere from 6 months to a year to a year and a half, maybe 2. We've heard of some battles taking as long as 2 years. So we don't know what's going to happen with that. So, like I said, I've got medical insurance. He does not. We're making all of these visits to the doctor, all of these visits to the ER, all of these visits to, these specialists. And one specialist we did, 2 actually, we did pay a portion of the bills. We had to save up to pay a portion of the bills. But that was just those 2. That wasn't the rest of the ER visit. That wasn't ER visits with these various hospitals. And thankfully, it's a collective, it's a group. So it's sort of like Advocate in Chicago. This is a group of hospitals here. They're all connected. So we go to them because they share the same system so they can pull up his information. So anyway, we paid, like I said, we started paying for these 2 specialists. But with my income and his lack of an income and no health insurance, we're not able to pay these people. So we have racked up a tremendous amount of debt, medical debt. And we did start a GoFundMe account, but after a few months, I stopped even promoting the GoFundMe account because the bottom line is, as much as we need the financial assistance, there are people out there that are in a worse situation than we are, quite honestly. So I decided to stop promoting the GoFundMe account because we're God people. We believe in God, and we know that there is a way, there is a solution. So the funds will come, whether it's through me getting a better job or me making more money with what I do on the side as a coach and a mentor, or a coach and a customer service strategist and speaker. But we know the funds will come. We have people out there that have GoFundMe accounts because they have children with cancer and they can't afford the treatment. There are GoFundMe accounts out there for people who have lost loved ones suddenly and tragically, and there was no insurance set up. life insurance set up to bury them. I've been in that situation as well. That's one of the things I had to do in 2015 when we started losing people like crazy. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. So I understand that there are people out there in a worse situation than I'm in, or that we're in. So like I said, I don't promote the GoFundMe account. What I started doing is using or attempting to use the gifts that God gave me as a coach, as a mentor, as a speaker, as an author or a writer. And that leads me to the next thing, and how I wanted to, and I started a foundation called My Daughter's Mentor. And that was brought about because of my mom. Mainly because of my mom and what I went through with her. And now that I'm at 32 minutes, I don't know that I'll go into detail about that. But I started that organization because of my mom and what she meant to me, and what my grandmother meant to me, and the women in the neighborhood that I grew up in specifically, the neighborhoods that I grew up in specifically, and what those women went through. So I started that to put myself out there as a coach and a mentor. And another thing that I have been doing for years and finally decided to do it on a regular basis was write. So I started writing, and I published a book in 2016. I started writing it in 2013, but finally got it published in 2016. So I was going to use those funds to assist with medical costs, because at that time, we didn't know what was going on, but I wasn't working at that time. So when I wrote that book, I wrote the book to share the experiences of others, and to let people know that they were not alone in their struggles, and that they could overcome anything by faith. And I wanted to gain funds from that to assist the household. And that book is still out there, and I'm looking for it to do well so that it will financially assist the household to go towards the medical debt that we have, or just quite honestly, the monthly debt that we have. And then I decided to create a course and really get into coaching and teaching. So I've taken on clients as a writing coach. To help others, because I've been writing for several years. Since I was in high school, I've been writing, but finally got serious about it, like I said, and published my book. I've since then published another book. I've since then written with a collective, a group of people in a writers guild, and published a book with them, and we're working on finishing up publishing the second book. So writing is something that I am passionate about. And I took that passion, that desire, and turned it into coaching others into writing, into writing what they were passionate about. So that was supposed to bring in finances. And then I decided, because another thing that I have almost always worked in was customer service in some capacity or another. So I am creating a course in customer service. So I'm coaching, I'm writing, I'm creating courses for writing, and now I'm creating courses for customer service. And I'm doing all of that because, one, it's part of my purpose, but two, so that it would help financially the household. But this is something that I have found out the last year, is that nothing that I do for profit will prosper if it is strictly for profit. Nothing that I do for profit will prosper if it is strictly for profit. So I had to really refocus and think about why I was really doing these things? Was I doing it for the purpose, my purpose? Was I doing it to help others? Was I doing it to be a benefit or a resource for others? Or was I doing it so that I could just bring in the coin? And every time I said purpose, God would come back and say, no, you're doing it for profit. And he's right. And he would send me reminders of that all the time, because I knew that, and I would replay it in my head, and then I would let it go. You've got to focus on the purpose and not the profit. Focus on the purpose and not the profit. And then months will go by. And I started seeing a therapist because I wanted to make certain that I did not go into a deep depression. I wanted to make certain that I didn't have anxiety attacks or panic attacks, because I have a history of that. I did that before several years ago and had all of that cleared up. And I did not want to go back into that. I knew and recognized the signs. So I started seeing a therapist, and we started talking about the things that I was going through and have gone through in a short amount of time. It seems like a long time, but it's really a short amount of time. And one of the things that my therapist said was that I had a version of what she thought that I had a version of PTSD, which was brought on by caretaker's fatigue or caretaker syndrome, something like that, because I took care of everyone but myself, and it was getting overwhelming. And she wanted me to pull back and concentrate on me more, do some self-care. But she also said to me, everything that you say you want to do, even though it is a gift, it's one of your gifts, it's a lot of your gifts, all of these things that you say you want to do, all of the stuff that you've created, it sounds to me like you're trying to do them all for profit. And you need to stop focusing on the money part of it and start focusing on the purpose behind it. So, yes, God has already told me this. I already am aware of this. I know it. I've replayed it in my head and told myself to refocus on the purpose and not the profit. And then my therapist says to me, you're focusing on the profit and not the purpose. And if you start focusing on the purpose, then things will move the way they're supposed to. Okay. So I agree with her. I start working in the way of purpose. I start forming other things, creating other things, writing down other things. And the juices are flowing, and I'm focused, and I'm going, and I'm going, and I'm going. And then we get a bill from a hospital visit, an ER visit, where the husband ended up in the hospital for 2 days this time. And he had to be intubated so that they could clear out fluid from his stomach, because they thought that he had a perforated ulcer, and they could see the fluid around the stomach. So he had to be intubated, and they had to suck the fluid out so that it didn't impact him anymore negatively than it already was. We got the bill for that, and it was 22, 20 something, somewhere $1,000, not $100,000. And I started thinking about the profit again. What can I do that will generate funds? What can I do that will bring about money? What can I do that will financially help my family, my husband, that will drag us up out of this tremendous amount of debt that we have? So that's when I pulled together my course. I already had the basics. I already knew what I wanted to do and say and to teach. So I finalized everything, and I got it up on the teaching platform, and it wouldn't move. Wouldn't wasn't doing anything. I'm advertising it. I'm publicizing it. I'm making certain that people hear it. I'm spending money to get it out there, because every ad, every promo that you do on social media where it's seen more widely, you've got to pay for it. You can't just put it on your friend's page. You can't just post it on Facebook and say, this is what I'm doing, or Instagram and say, this is what I'm doing. Or any social media and just say, this is what I'm doing. It has to be promoted. So I'm going to work. I'm taking care of him. I'm cooking and I'm cleaning. And then I'm spending hours in front of the computer to pull together this program, promote this program, hours and hours. I'm tweaking, I'm changing, I'm, subtracting things and adding things, and it isn't moving. No one's buying it. No one cares about it. Now, the crazy thing for me is that I know that there are people out there that want to write. I know that there are people out there that want to write. They want to write their first book. They want tips and tricks and information and guidance and coaching. I know that they do. I've heard it too many times. So that's why I created this, because there was an ask. This is what they would call, all the different coaches that I've watched, a pain point. They wanted to write, but they didn't know how to start. So I created this course so that they could do that. Wasn't moving. So I sat back and I said, okay, I'm not doing something right. I'm not doing something right. What can I do? And I hear again, you're focused on the profit, not on the purpose. I got you. I hear it loud and clear. I'm focused on the wrong thing. Okay, fine. So I go back to purpose. I want this to help people. I'm going to talk about what I need to do. And I'm not even going to worry about the profit. I'm going to start offering things for free. As a matter of fact, I've got a free webinar coming up tomorrow. I'm mapping out time to write, because I want people who have the desire to write but say that they don't have the time to do it. I want to give them some pointers on how to map out the time to write. A couple of tips on what they can do to maximize their time. And still the course isn't moving. And I don't know what else to do. So one of the many coaches that I listened to, and I say many coaches because I've signed up for this thing where they offer you like $50 on packages where 50 different people are telling you what to do to promote your stuff for free. Okay, fine. But I also listen to actual coaches, actual real life coaches, like Lisa Nichols, like, what is her name? Nicole. I can't remember her name right now. But then there's also, let's see if I can pull her up really quick. Nicole, I can't remember. But then the other one that I listen to is I call Little Miss Nicole Walters. I love listening to her because she's so open. Nicole Roberts Jones, that's the other one that I listen to. But Nicole Walters is one, along with Lisa Nichols. I love them tremendously because they're both so very transparent. But I like Nicole Walters a little bit more because she's transparent and she's genuine with it. Not to say that Lisa Nichols isn't. Lisa Nichols is quite genuine with hers. However, there's something about Nicole Walters that I connect with more than with Lisa. I connect with Lisa because of our age. We're similar in age. We're close in age. And we've been through some stuff similar. But I also connect with Nicole Walters because her outlook on everything is just so fresh and transparent. So anyway, I've been listening to her for the last week because she's had some stuff going on, webinars and things like that going on. So I've been listening to her for the last week, and I listened to something that she put up either earlier today or yesterday. And in her talking, listening to that, I heard her say that I needed to be focused on the purpose and not on the profit. Focused on the purpose and not on the profit. So I say all of that to say, I give the story of my husband and his gastroparesis. I talk about our depression and anxiety. I talk about my writing and my coaching and my customer service courses. And I talk about all of that to say, I want people to know about this illness, for one. I want people to know about the illness of gastroparesis and the fact that it can be brought on by many things. Usually the cause is unknown. However, one of the things that can bring it about is uncontrolled diabetes. So be healthy. There's more to uncontrolled diabetes than losing a limb, having a stroke, having a heart attack, going blind, ketoacidosis. There's more to it than that. So take it seriously. I want people to know about that. I want people to know about the depression and the anxiety that goes along with this illness. When you go from being able to do whatever you want to do to now you can barely move around the house, and you've gone from over 200 pounds to less than 100 pounds. I want people to know about that. I want people to know that my husband and I have gone through quite a bit with this illness, and we have made it. It's not easy, but we've made it. I want people to know that we have this tremendous amount of debt, but we have not lost our faith. We still believe that God has a purpose for us. We still want to live our lives the way that He has purpose for us to live them. We want to still be encouragement for people. We want to still live a happy life with one another. Like I said, next week we'll be 8 years married. But I talk about my writing and my coaching because I want to make it plain, as I said before, that if you focus on the profit, nothing will prosper. Focus on purpose. And some might disagree with that when I say if you focus on the profit, it won't prosper, because they've made millions of dollars focusing on the profit. They've made millions of dollars focusing on the profit. And that's great for them. I applaud them. Congratulations. I want you to make that money. You deserve to make that money because you've worked so hard for it. But when you first started, was there a point to you starting that business? Was there a point to you starting that organization? Was it so that you could help the people? Or was it so that you could make money off of the people? I never want to lose sight again of why I started my daughter's mentor, of why I started the D. Hayes Writing Collective, of why I have no problem. And I'm very proud to say that I'm a coach, a mentor, a speaker, a course creator, a customer service strategist, a wife, a mother, a grandmother. I want to remain proud or remain able to be proud of saying all of those things. I never want the purpose behind all of that to be lost. I never want the purpose behind all of that to be lost. I started these organizations because I wanted to help people, and I wanted to stay that way. So I guess the point to all of this is for you to stay focused and for me to share. I mean, people see me and, my friends see me, they see me on Facebook. I have people see me out in person, and they talk about how upbeat and positive I am. And I try to remain that way on purpose. Then I have some people that say that I'm snarky and I have such an attitude and I can be mean. And that's true too. That's true too. And it's true because one of the things that I believe in being is honest with people. And I try to be nice about it, but I try to be honest. I want to be honest with you because I don't want you walking around believing a lie that I told you. That I don't want. I don't want you walking around with that. So again, I guess my whole point to sharing all of this was just to talk about the disease and talk about the residuals, the dust of the disease, but also to say remain focused on the purpose, on your purpose, on the purpose that God has planted in you, and not laser in so much on the profit part. There's a scripture about the man gaining the whole world, but he loses his soul. I'd love to be a multimillionaire, but I don't want to become a multimillionaire at the cost of my soul. So I guess this, again, was just a way for me to hold myself accountable. If I put it out in the public, then people will have to remind me that I said that I was doing this for the purpose versus the profit. The profit will come. The profit will come. I know that it will. I will get the clients for writing. I will get the clients for coaching. I will get, mentees that I can mentor and be a positive, influence and role model to. I'll get the customers for, my customer service course. I'll get the customers or the clients for my writing course. All of that will come. All of the profit will come, but I have to remain focused on the purpose. So remain focused on the purpose. Remain focused on the purpose. And stay healthy. Pay attention to your diet. Pay attention to what the doctors are telling you. If you don't like taking a whole lot of medicines, I understand it. I hate taking medicine. Absolutely hate it. So I will find an alternative, more natural way to deal with an illness. I will. But if there is no way to deal with it naturally, then I will take the meds. And like I said, when I started this, I had a cold or flu or whatever it was. And to get rid of it, fine. I'm drinking my smoothies with my supplements and I'm taking these antibiotics because I want this crap out of me. And sure enough, I took it the way I was supposed to, and it's gone. The only thing that's left is a little bit of mucus that's left because I haven't finished taking my Mucinex. But once I'm done with that Mucinex, guess what? I'm done with this. I'm done with this. So I think that's it. It's been almost an hour. I've rambled on. I hope that those that have watched this or are watching this or will watch this get what I'm really trying to say. I didn't even talk about my own illness last year and the fact that I almost died twice last year. That's a whole nother topic. I didn't talk about, go into detail about the fact that, we lost so many people in 1 year, back to back to back, 3 people in 1 year. We lost a very close friend in September. We lost my grandfather in October and then my mom in December, all in 1 year. I didn't go into detail about that. That's, I guess, going to be for another live, another Periscope, another video. I don't know, but I do want you to stay focused on the purpose. Stay focused on the purpose. All right, I've rambled long enough. I appreciate you being here, so much so, because you didn't have to be. I've taken up almost an hour of your time telling you about my woes, and I appreciate that. Peace and blessings. Remember to walk in your purpose and know that I appreciate you. And of course, I can't get this thing to go off. There we go.